I intentionally did not drink my glass of wine, so hopefully things will go well. So unless you've been living in a cave in this community for the last 7 years, you know that this is the co-seismic deformation pattern from the Japan event. And if you look at their actual time series in ITRF, this is what they look like. And we saw this event, and we had already been converting the Penga network, which was grown very organically from surveyors needing real-time data, into a seismic network, and we realized very quickly you could constrain big earthquakes, starting 10 years ago. So today, if you look at the west coast of the United States, there's 1,100 right now currently available real-time high-rate GPS stations. Most are operated by the UNAVCO and the Plate Boundary Observatory. Penga's got a network. SIGN's got a network, USGS has a network, BART has a network, et cetera. If you look globally, there's this, I pulled this from the Nevada Genetic Lab, there's about roughly 16, 17,000, in which I would guess, we've looked at this, we'd guess about 20% are publicly available high-rate real-time telemetry. So that's about 3,000 stations. So you can go ahead and you can get these data in. The average latencies are a few tenths of a second, and you can position them. This is our positioning software that we've written at CWU. And what there's all kinds of aspects to this, doing this on a global basis, but what I actually want to talk about is zero. The little piece I want to talk about. So geodesy is precise measurements, A, within a reference frame, B, that you think you understand. And so the question is, what is zero? Well, we fit functional forms to these things. Once we have the coefficients, we predict to this day, every day. But sometimes, like in Cascadia with these slow slip events, we can't model, we have to model every individual slow slip event to know where something is today. And so one of the delicious things about this business is to know where zero is, you have to have not screwed up slip inversions and things from 10 years ago, right? And so we do this, and we can define every day a zero, and then instantaneously, and this is what drives the geophysical monitor, and you can say, all right, what are the offsets relative to zero in centimeters? And so we have these instantaneous offsets are what we look at. And then once you have that, then you can do stuff. So it's the geophysical monitoring is driven by the instantaneous offsets from the true of date, from our sense of zero. So you can estimate things like peak ground deformation in real time, which if you saw Brendan's poster, Brendan Crowell from UW, and Diego talked about it, the PGD scaling is very, very diagnostic of moment. So we can take these types of regression laws without knowing anything about a moment of an earthquake, look at the instantaneous offset from a true of date a priori across a network, and boom, we can pull out a moment without knowing anything about the focal mechanism or the details of the faulting. So that's the first step. You can actually take it to the next step. You can say, all right, well, we can take a slip distribution, and if I hit go, I wanted to show this. This is Thorne's talk last night talking about the lack of resolution. What this actually is, it shows if you put a unit of slip over here, predict the offsets using a simple model, take those offsets and invert it back, you get a thing. And what you can see is that shallow resolution. So we have an active slip inversion running that we've then taken. We have about 30 instances running around the globe, most of which are constrained by a few stations, some of which, like in Cascadia, are constrained by hundreds of stations. And then once you have slip as a function of time, and I should say these are all running as Kalman filters, they run continuously. Once you have slip, you have some estimate of tsunami excitation continuously, so you almost take time dependency out of this. So these are just some of the applications. So what I want to leave you with, and this is the last slide, we have a prototype system up and running. We're bringing in roughly 800 to 1,000 stations, and we expect that to go up to all that we can get. And our software, we think we can take it to 10,000 or so stations. And since I only have 16 slides, I think I'm allowed to go backspace and show you that last one. Oh, come on, come on. So just so this, and we do have these, we're not a responsible seismic agency. The USGS determines that, but we're pushing these positions to the PNSN, to Berkeley, to Caltech, and for their incipient use, the current use in monitoring, but incipient use in Shake Alert. And then they're also going, Diego gave a great summary of the tsunami piece of this that's going to earthworm. And so now, to leave you with it, it's all about international data sharing. That's what we need to get the big networks from around the globe to open their data, and that's going to be a community effort. Thank you.